stunned. Like everybody else, I was absolutely stunned. And then when I start to actually think about it, I'm like, man, okay, because the first reaction is, why would they trade Luka? That's the basic reaction. And Luka Doncic is a big problem. He is in horrendous shape. He's always hurt, and he's an atrocious defender. So I think if you really follow the NBA like day in, day out, I don't know, you're still stunned, but I think you can understand it more. What I don't get is if they're going to move on from Luka Doncic, then why not open this up to the entire NBA? The Knicks gave up 5 first-round picks for Bridges, and you get Anthony Davis and 1 first-round pick. Like, Anthony Davis is a hell of a player. He's 32, 33. He's hurt a lot, too.
Right.
That's what you get back for Luka Doncic?
But don't you think that's Don't you think that's just what they wanted? See, I respect it. They get, first of all, the Mavericks are getting ripped because everybody's smarter than they are, right? All the people on social media who tweet and Instagram post and TikTok, they're all smarter than everybody with the Mavericks. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to work out perfectly for the Mavericks. However, you have to just take a second and give it some thought and say, well, why would they be doing something that on the surface looks to be so idiotic? And the Mavericks, know Luka Doncic better than anybody. And if they're willing to trade him, then maybe something is up. First of all, I've always thought he was overrated for a lot of the reasons that you mentioned. And he's a terrific player, no question about it. I would not invest $300 million in him.
It would have been more than that, actually.
Right, okay. So they decided that they didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Now, this is where you can nitpick and get on him, to your point. Okay, well, why, if you're going to trade him and be open to that, which seems unfathomable to begin with, but if you are, here are the reasons why they were. We went over that they're out of shape. They don't believe he's going to, whatever, have his passion for the game or age well, whatever it may be. Be able to stay healthy, pay him that money. Okay, fine. Why not then get everybody involved? And the answer to me would be that smartly, right or wrong, they had a need, they identified it, or a want, they identified it and said, we want Anthony Davis. Now, could they have gotten more? Maybe, but Anthony Davis is not... he's a big-time player.
I know he is. I know, again, those are two very different things. Should they have traded him? Yeah, they know things behind the scenes that nobody else knows. And they were so motivated to move him. This came out of nowhere. And I say it came out of nowhere in terms of developing on the trade front, but they've known for a long time that he was just a little less than. He didn't have, like, a LeBron intensity to his workouts or an MJ drive or a focus. He wasn't Magic, wasn't Bird. Now, we thought he may have been in terms of his talent at 6'8", his handle, his vision. He could shoot. Amazing, amazing player. And really, I think at the end of the day, I think Luka Doncic is going to wind up falling short of where he should have been on the all-time list because he just doesn't pay attention to his body, and that's going to catch up. So, but that's one discussion. The other discussion, though, and I keep going back to this, Anthony Davis is really good. He's a Hall of Famer. He's 7.5 years older.
Yeah, I get it.
And if you have the draft equity coming back with it, I just don't know why you don't start a bidding war. If you make the organizational decision to move on from Doncic, get everybody involved. Who knows who would have taken a bite?
Probably because they felt like this was the best player that could fit what they want to do to win a championship now.
Well, they're not winning anything. A championship now? They don't win anything right now. So they can think that.
They win in the finals. I
understand that. They're not winning anything this year.
Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis paired together. By the way, you don't think Kidd knew anything about this?
Honestly, I don't. I really don't. I know what
I would find that. Find that impossible to believe.
I know what you mean. Like, why would he be so left out in the dark?
No way.
I'm trying to read his body language and his mannerisms at the press conference. I mean, what he said.
He's full of crap anyway.
I don't know. Jay's a pretty straight shooter.
You think they're going to make a move like this without telling the head coach?
Honestly, you might, because of this. You don't want this getting out, because then it could get sabotaged. If it gets out and Luka says, "I'm not going to play for the Lakers," deal's done. Meaning it can't be consummated. So I think you've got to be so stealth. Like, I know, again,
but you don't think that Kidd knew about this?
I'm just telling you my gut. I don't, based on his reaction.
I think they're trying to protect Jason Kidd in this. And let's say he didn't know specifically.
Protect him for what? Doncic is gone. Who cares? You know what I mean?
But maybe the rest of the team loved Doncic or whatever. And
I don't think so. I think that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the problem.
Maybe, but you don't think that Kidd and the GM have had conversations before about Doncic and all that? Like, that 1,000% had to happen. Like, hey, man, here's what he's not doing. Here's what he needs to do.
I think that definitely happened over time.
If we could ever get a player like Anthony Davis, I'd love to do it. Maybe he didn't know specifically when it was going to happen or how it was going to happen. come on.
Well, but Sal, those are two. Yeah, again, not even to split hairs, but those are two different things. Like the potential concept of organizationally moving on from Luka Doncic. Do I think that was ever broached to Kidd? Yeah. Do I ever think he gave input back? I do. But, the way it was actually constructed and then consummated quickly, do I think that J. Kidd knew? I don't, but I don't really know. All I know is, like, the NBA, everything off the court is more interesting than on the court for the NBA.
Especially the regular season. Hoff says he has you have a quote here from, you're reading it or soundbite from Kidd?
Soundbite.
Okay, soundbite from Jason Kidd about when he found out.
At the 11th hour. So, right before it was announced.
I mean, I believe him.
Yeah. If you're going based on like technicalities, he found out right before it was announced about the actual trade. Don't tell me that you had no idea.
No, I'm not.
When the GM was saying that he was talking to Pelinka for weeks about a potential trade, there's no way. Especially in today's day and age, like this isn't the 80s where GMs and head coaches would act on their own.
Yeah.
With all the working together and cohesive.
The power agents.
Yeah, come on, you're telling me Jason Kidd had no idea that they were shopping Luca or
No, Sal. I'm just delineating between the concept and then the actual execution of the trade. And again, that's why it's splitting hairs. But I'll tell you this: do I think that the Dallas Mavericks building, for those who really have any sort of juice or pull, were they stunned? No, because I think really inside the Dallas Mavericks bubble that Luka Doncic has been an issue for a while.
Yeah, no, I could see that.
I really do.
One thing before we get to the Knicks here and we get to the calls, BT, maybe we could save the Knicks because we get some calls here. But Hoff just said there's some breaking news in the NFL.
Yeah, it's a written statement from Myles Garrett, who is requesting a trade.
Nah, go get him, Jets. Go get him, Giants. I mean, all right, good.
Well,
that's good.
I mean, Myles Garrett He is the most rare commodity in the sport, aside from quarterback play, right, which is the thing that's valued the most and the hardest to find, great quarterback play. You need somebody who can get to the quarterback. Myles Garrett is elite at that.
How about a little sauce for Myles Garrett trade?
Well, I mean, I'd be thinking about everything if I'm the Jets or the Giants.
Yeah, me too.
Unfortunately, and the Giants probably have the cap space, but they have the pieces to make it work.
They just made that big Burns trade.
What do you? The NFL trades are weird for me to gauge. Like, would you give up? Is me saying the Jets giving up the 7th pick? Is that way too much?
How old is Myles Garrett? 31.
He's 29.
He's
he's going to be going into his 30th season. He's going to be 30 years old going into the season.
What's the contract?
He's got 2 years left.
I'm not giving up the 7th pick. That's
right. So maybe that's a little rich.
Taste.
Okay. Fair enough, but it might be rich overall.
Or it could be a player in a 2nd-round pick or somebody on the roster in a 3rd-round pick. There's other ways to do it. Listen, by the way, I mean, there's going to be 10 other teams in addition to the Jets and the Giants possibly lined up to get Myles Garrett.
That's the point. When a guy like that becomes available, a guy in his prime that is as dominant a force as he is, if you're a team that's worth the salt and you can make it fit with the salary cap structure, you got to figure out a way to go make that move.
But this is my point, to bring it back to the Doncic stuff. Like, so now I know that it's a little different. It's not apples to apples because he's requesting the trade, right? But by say, if now the Browns, because he requested the trade, will have the ability to shop the best offer. All right.
Right.
And again, I know it's not exactly the same clearly because it's just not. But I don't understand how you could do business for a 25-year-old megastar with international, fame and allure, and just strike a deal with the first team that you strike a deal with for a guy who's 32 and brittle on his own.
No, but that's
Anthony Davis.
But that's who they wanted. I don't think that.
Well, I'm saying I don't know why you should have asked for more.
But that's a different argument, saying that why would the Mavericks want him versus why they did it. They did it because they went out there and said, we have this valuable asset that we want to trade. We're identifying what we want. J. Kidd, I'm sure. The GM, I'm sure. Kyrie, how it fits. We want this guy. The Lakers were the only one who had Anthony Davis, and that they felt was the best fit.
Yeah.
They'd rather that than the picks. Could they have gotten theoretically more? Sure, but they wanted Anthony Davis. The only way to get him is to make a deal with the Lakers.
Yeah, I get that, and I guess I applaud them for having focus and having a specific target. I'm just saying they should have gotten more. I got a quick question for you. I know we'll incorporate the Knicks stuff. We'll get back to the calls. Yep. So let's just say they did open it up. I want your first reaction to the rest of the NBA, and they call Leon Rose, Luca, Jalen Brunson. What would you do?
No way.
I agree. That's ours.
No way.
I'm just asking.
Yeah, but no, I think it's an interesting talking point because people would say, what are you guys, idiots?
Nope.
Like, Luca, look at where he is as a player one-on-one compared with the others. I've never been a fan of Luka Doncic.
Not even his first 2-3 years?
My
God.
I've always thought, I don't know what it is,
So
BT,
good.
right or wrong, and obviously I was proven wrong because he's a great player, but I just never, like my eyes watching him the way that he played, I just never liked it. It was, I don't want to say, it could have been too European. I don't know, it just never felt like he was...
He's a junker for sure. I get it.
That. I mean, he could hit a big shot, of course. Maybe,
No doubt.
Maybe the body type had something to do. I don't know, but I've never been as into Luka as others. He's proven to be a dominant force, but I wouldn't want him. And I also think he's the opposite of everything I would want, which is what the Knicks are, a bunch of grinded out guys, hard workers. You know,
maybe not as much as last year's team, but in
they
theory.
had to take that next. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
You know?
And taking another step. All right, let's get some calls here on Luka. 888-808-1019. BT and Sal on the fan. Jason is in Brooklyn. What's up, Jason?
Hey, boys. Just a couple things on the Luka trade. I agree with you guys that like he's not the best player, but he is one of those guys, right? There's 7 or 8 of them in the league, and I'm a Celtics fan, so I love the fact that he put no effort into defense last June in our rightful return to the top of Mount Everest. But I just think, Sal, you were talking about, getting Anthony Davis back. I don't understand how they just didn't hold the Lakers to the fire and get a boatload of picks. I know the picks won't be that great because in theory the Lakers will be good.
Yeah.
But you can't just get what they got back. For God's sakes, the Hawks drafted him, Luka, and traded the rights for Trae Young. Even they got more for Luka, I mean, it's insane.
Bizarre, man. It's almost like something. This is going to sound ridiculous. Thanks for the call there, Jay. It's almost like, how do I frame this? Not being irresponsible. Like it's to me, it's such a one-sided trade that they could have demanded so much more. It's almost like they know something's coming. And they just had to get rid of him and just do it.
Yeah, but also, don't you think we're minimizing Anthony Davis here?
No. I think Anthony Davis is a sublime talent. 7 years older.
And you could argue a better fit for maybe what they want to do.
For a year? I mean, how about Anthony Davis always banged up himself? He didn't even play Saturday against the Knicks.
But, I mean, Jason Kidd's coaching before, probably loves Anthony Davis. He fits better maybe with Kyrie. Again. Yeah, I mean, like, you could do the math. They didn't get some scrub here. I mean, it's not Antonio McDyess. They got Anthony Davis.
No, but Sal, I get it. But if you told me before the year, like, hey, in early February, Dallas is going to drop this bomb in the middle of the night and they're going to trade Luka Doncic, I'm like saying, not that I would do this, but I'm like, who'd they get? Anthony Edwards?
I know.
Jason Tatum?
Right.
I mean, who'd they get?
Well,
they got not broken down Anthony Davis because he's a stud.
Well,
but an aging, brittle Anthony Davis, that's what you got?
But isn't that the point, though, that they got a star back? A lot of these times where, first of all, it's unique in that it wasn't the superstar who requested the trade to get out. And when they do that, generally it's from a team who is bad, who has no shot, who's going to be looking to rebuild because you're never going to get equal value back for that player. In this case, it was not a player that asked out. It was a team that said, we're not paying this guy the max contract. We don't believe in him long-term to stay healthy, to do the right things by his body. We want to try to win a championship now with Jason Kidd, with Kyrie. Jason Kidd is the head coach, with Kyrie Irving. And we identify, again, I'm just using some common sense, they identified Anthony Davis to maybe be that piece. They did get a star player back. The age, obviously a huge difference, but they, in the Mavericks' minds, Luka Doncic is not as valuable as he is in everybody else's mind. And they get and Anthony Davis, again, in the Mavericks' mind, much more valuable than in the majority of other people's mind. Doesn't mean it's a wrong deal, though.
Well, I would for sure. I would just disagree with what they view as a fair deal. Not the concept of trading Luka. I'm not even saying that.
Right.
Because he is...
Which is a big part of it, too.
Yeah. Now, watch what's going to happen. Now, LeBron's got to play another year or so for this to really stick. But you're going to see next year, Luka's going to come in 27 pounds lighter, chiseled, cut, and he's going to win a championship with LeBron.
Yeah. Well, if LeBron can't guide him, then I don't think anybody can, right? So that would be it. Chris is calling from Michigan. What's up, Chris?
Hey, BT, Sal, welcome back, buddy.
Thank you, Chris. What's up?
All right, so I got a Knicks point I want to get to, but first the Luka thing. So here's the thing. Anthony Davis has been pretty vocal about not wanting to play the 5 lately. He's not going to have to do that in Dallas. And Luka, I'm not trying to put speculation out there, but I think possibly there is an issue, like you said, BT. I think he has a drinking problem. You kind of seen it after the celebration. Michael Finley had to come and steal that beer out of his hand during the interview and everything. I think that might come out. But for the Knicks, real quick, before I get out here, because I know it's loud in this shop, I want them to go get Nurkic from Phoenix, and it's not going to cost them a thing. I want to know what you guys think about that.
I've always liked him. Yeah. I mean, listen, I still think the Knicks going to make a trade. Make a trade funny. There's a lot of things to get in with the Knicks, which we certainly will. We'll get into OG, the game. I was so disappointed in the Knicks on Saturday. How the hell do you let LeBron James come in? And he was very good, of course, but without Anthony Davis and just take over the joint. Like, that reminded me of an old Knick team. Where was the pride on Saturday night? That really bothered me. But I'll tell you what, now I read this morning, and who the heck had it? It was a very reputable NBA reporter, not Shams, I'll remember in a minute, but they think that now the Lakers are going to truly target Mitchell Robinson.
Which I saw the Lakers and Mitchell Robinson when we were talking about this weeks ago, if not months ago, that they might be targeting him. Boy, if the Lakers could add Mitchell Robinson, now you start to look at them maybe piecing together a championship. I think the Knicks would be fools to make that trade. Let's talk more Knicks when we come back here. We'll get into that. The trade stuff. I didn't have a big problem. Yeah, well, OG is going to be a big issue potentially if he's hurt. You get worried about Mitchell Robinson. OG's always banged up as well. I don't have a big deal with the regular season loss. Like, it's frustrating, sure, but the Lakers aren't a bad team. LeBron, he wants to show off in the Garden. Unfortunately, he's so soft that he couldn't show off on the Garden for 41-plus home games. Yeah. He needed to do it on the road for once a year. But let's get more into Knicks BT when we come back, and we'll continue with your calls as well. 888-808